Yahoo, Prof here, and I'm sorry, I've been a bad YouTube creator. I missed an upload, and can't do anything about it because the one yesterday was late, and I forgot to schedule one today, or yesterday as of 3 hours and 40 minutes ago. Even the previous one was pretty darn cutting it close. Even though I had one in the can. Been slacking on my couple days off here and been slacking. I was also waiting for that big stack of boxes and packages to come in. And they didn't show up on Friday. And then they were supposed to show up on Monday. They all showed up today, except for one. So I guess you're going to get lots of videos, but always sucks to be on a streak that long. I don't know if it's been a year. Damn close though, I think. For a bit there, we were doing double videos, so maybe that makes it up. Hopefully YouTube doesn't tank my 10 to 50 views a video that I really appreciate you guys watch. Yeah, hopefully don't tank that little bit that I do get from you guys, which I do appreciate you watching. Take it away. So, for those who haven't checked it out, that video has done better than most. It's the first take, limited edition Sony CD900 STs. I was actually using those to play some Call of Duty tonight. As much as these sound amazing when listening to music, their directionality, I should say their like soundstage, like it compresses certain things. As much as I like those for music, and they legitimately, even Squeers was listening to him. He's like, okay, I can see how you'd pay for more for these. Especially if you like, say, the V6 or the 7506. And we're talking that, ignore the M1 and M1 ST, MV1. We're talking if you want that generation, right? Let's call it like the 90s era. He's like, I can see if you like that sound or that style. These are worth it. Or like, there's a different, like there is like for sure. So check out that video. If you could, it's real interesting. Maybe get some history on some Sony reference headphones. The camera app has actually changed what the record button looks like, and I don't know how I feel about that. Like it's all more bubbly and stuff like the rest of the Android 16 now. So this is one of the few boxes I will be keeping. And what I will do is, because the Yaxi pads for these should be here tomorrow. I'll probably put the original pads right back in there. Even though, high chance, they will just shred themselves to death. There is a specific package in here that I want to do. Yep. Okay. It's that one. This should go with this. That should go on its own. That can go whatever. Okay. So let's take a look here. This is something I ordered months ago. Might be another one of those things that I ordered, late at night as I'm going to sleep. Hey, I did that. I paid my bills that way last night because it was time to pay up, and I had, like I said, I want to say I put in 50 something hours this week in 4 days, because I had Friday off. Yeah. So then once I finally got my day off, I was like, ugh. Was basically my response. Let's get out the letter opener. I still haven't cleaned the shmoo off of some of these other packages off of it, so It acts like it's dull, but it's not. It's because of the sticky goo. Just throw it on the side here. Now this is a, you might have seen these. I got advertised these on Instagram ages ago, and it's actually one of those products on Instagram that I legitimately wanted, kept an eye out for, etc., etc., etc. Made in the USA, from parts abroad. I mean, because you like there's parts of every you can just, unlike what our president thinks. Currently, there's literally no way to have something like with at least, I shouldn't even say just like even tools, because in that case, some steel even comes from. Yeah, but especially when it comes to electronic components, often at least the base parts need to come from overseas someplace, not necessarily China, right? You know, Taiwan, Japan. Actually, for connectors, switches, and plugs, Japan's probably more than likely, unless you're cheaping out, because China's gonna have the knockoff. So this is just a discrete brown box, except for right there. I didn't know it had a big sticker on the bottom. Oh, hey, somebody just liked my tweet about about the, maybe we'll actually be able to see that in a future video. I didn't order it yet, but Milwaukee has come out with a new extension. So this is a I don't think they really originally call them surge protectors. This one is a surge protector. The highest end one from them is a surge protector. 6 outlet surge protector power strip. So everyone's kind of a power strip. I originally looked at them for like a 2-port. It basically looks like an outlet on your wall, except as a like a extension, like a surge, like, but it's all made out of metal, got some heft. So what I like to be able to do with that sort of stuff is put it in the middle of the room so I can plug shit in, right? Or I put it behind this is where this going is, next to my couch chair, because my recliner, or next to like that side of things, because of the fact that it is about 6 feet away. Like my recliner is from either direction, like smack in the middle of a poorly wired wall. So what it is nice to have is to have an extension cord that then you can plug your laptop charger in, or your Switch charger, or your whatever you want to power. Or if I'm doing something in the middle of a room where I need power going into something, right, I can plug it into there rather than having to look like up over the couch, that sort of thing, right? This sort of thing would also be very useful in like a meeting room or something like that. Something, or like a LAN party, or say you do tabletop. I don't know why you would need electronics for that, but you know, I customized this one. You can see up there where it says 10 foot. I paid a little bit extra because 6 foot for me, we just had that discussion. Standard outlets are 6 feet apart, which often that means if you want to run it up to a table, well, it has to go over the table, down to the floor, over to the outlet. That's more than the 6 feet. Or if 6 feet makes it, you are doing it diagonally and all. So I'm going to pay a little bit extra for 10 foot. They allowed you to customize it. Color is not customizable unless you buy like 150 units, not 150 amps, or what, like 150 of these. Hey, it might be cool if you guys really want to like give your say you have a company and your company wants to give out like a customized gift that's really nice. This might be it, you know, not the 6-port, but like a 2-port, you know, because this one does dual GAN USB-C. So even a 2-port, the old 2-port would have just been 2 outlets, right? Well, if you get one of the new ones that has the dual GAN, GAN, gallium nitride, in there, that's 2 USB-C ports and 2 standard A ports. 65 watts will also power most average laptops out there, because a lot of those have 45 minimum 45 watts, but they come with a 65 because that way you can charge and use them under load, right? And you can have 2 of them off here. So you got this is a very US packaging design. If you saw the packaging of the subwoofer I got recently, go check that out. Really cool US brand. I believe that is still manufactured overseas, at least in their lower end units, but they only sell directly from them. Like they'll do repairs, yada yada yada. When I saw that was like the #1 recommendation, I was like, all right, yep. The speakers are one of those things that like a small mom and pop or person getting started in their garage can make properly. And even like some of my stuff, even from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, are from smaller outfits. Some outfits that they were smaller then and massive now. So 6 outlet surge protector, made of powder coated, hand assembled, burn proof cast aluminum and stainless steel, powered by 14 gauge, that's AWG, braided cord rated for 15 amps. They know what they're doing. And if you guys are wondering why I say that, the 14 gauge is super important. Most extension cords, even that you go and buy that are 50 feet long, are only 12 gauge. You cannot pull the full 15 amps through 14 gauge. That is not the recommended gauge for 15 amps of 120 volt. I mean, like, I'm sure there is a distance where that is acceptable, right? But especially if you want to pull like the full, and this is where I took a while to find. They're a U.S. company once again. Like the U.S. based. I think manufacturing is done, or at least some of the manufacturing is done overseas. But I've showed up. I think I have a yellow one that is a 25 foot, and I think I got black ones which are 10 foot extension cords. Those I got 14 gauge. So you can actually pull the full 15 amps, and that's important. Like if you ever use a power tool, you get like a corded drill, and you're like, oh, who has those? Okay, fine. Like a circular saw, any of these really high draw, even if you did like a electric tea kettle, right? Those are gonna pull the full breaker. Generally, they're gonna recommend you don't actually put those on an extension cord. If you did, you want 14 gauge. Now, almost everything you're going to go, and Paisley, you have very, very sharp claws. Yeah, very, very, very sharp claws. I have a kitten on my shoulder at the moment. Here. Oh, you're not going to stay, are you? Let me show you where we ended up. Paisley. Say hi, Paisley. Paisley. Yeah, she needs her claws cut. They're in my neck right now. Here. Paisley Marie. Ow. Paisley. I know you really want attention, and you think since it's past 2, because I've actually, tonight was my Call of Duty night. For whatever reason, I didn't feel like playing Friday. Watched Wayne show, too. Kitten, your butt is in the camera. Kitten. Hey. Can you go sit right here? Right over here. You go sit right over there? I guess not. All right. So yeah, when I saw they did the 14 gauge cord, brilliant. I had to go out of my way. Or a lot of times, if you want a 14 gauge cord, this is where that company on Amazon is that I found for extension cords. Maybe I'll remember to link them below. Is really nice. Is you could get them in up to like 100 foot if you wanted to. Now, I think once, in my opinion, if you start hitting 50, you probably want to go 12 gauge. The other thing where you might want to go 12 gauge is if you get one of those 3-prong where you can plug 3 devices in, and if you actually expect to use all 3 at once, and they're all high draw devices, that's when you might go to a 12 gauge. But yeah. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, they just a basic, like, they know what they're doing, they know what they're talking about. Sort of recessed on soft industrial toggle, resettable fuse, dual LED red off, green active indicator lights showing surge protection and grounding. Designed and manufactured Conway Electric, Los Angeles, California. There you go, Conway Electric, made in the USA with some imported components. Yep, currently mine got back ordered. And the piece that got back ordered due to tariffs was the USB-C charging circuit. And they're like, yeah, we just don't have the means to design our own circuit and manufacture in the US. Like, because that is like a standardized board, probably. So they would buy one that meets their standards that's already on the market, and you put it in there. They don't make the... Oh, close app. An app crashed. Things have been a bit weird since Android 16, and also not all of Android 16 came out when Android 16 came out. Like, it's been, like I said, I just got the modifications to the camera. Didn't even know those were coming. Should have expected it with all the changes of the Photos app, but, you know. Actually, I literally just put in some feedback the other day about, like, hey, you should keep, like, if the Photos app looks one way, like the Photos app, and then the editor should look the same, and then the camera should look the same, like, but they updated them all inconsistently. But 2 smart board boards, they say 6-foot cord, 10-foot. Color is BR. I don't know what that stands for. It should be red. I think that's why I put red. I wanted orange. They have orange in the 2-port, but apparently all those are already pre-painted. I really wanted yellow, and they did have yellow at some point, but I think they were either out of stock or didn't make that model anymore. And you're like, definitely want a bright color either way. That's kind of like why I like yellow, orange, maybe red. And because especially this, it's going to be like next to or behind my recliner, which I often keep fairly dim in there because obviously if I'm sitting on that, I'm watching the TV, right? Make the thing that you're plugging shit into bright, and you won't step on it, you won't lose it, you won't misplace it, etc. So the other thing that I did do is right angle plug. No, it does open this way. I thought that part... Okay, sometimes these with this peel this way. I never know if I'm supposed to pull this out as a flap. You can see there that might be the case, right? Or I'm supposed to peel this. Oh, I got a peek. I don't know if you guys got a peek, but I got a peek. There's my right angle plug. Danger, this is a polarized cord. It's got a ground, so yeah, I don't know that you could plug it in wrong. And yes, I did put in the request to get a right angle plug on here. Because how I'm going to plug it in the bottom socket, right? Because the top socket is usually switched. You'll have a second set of switches. That is for your lamps. If you guys don't know how stuff works in bedrooms and living rooms and stuff like that. Yeah, your second switch is for your lamps. You're like, well, why do I have a light switch? I have to get it up to turn off. No, you don't. Lamps have a toggle on the lamp. So you turn it on when you sit down. And then when you get up, or like when you want it off when you're watching the TV or wherever you're in bed, you turn the lamp off. Then when you get up, you turn the lamp on. And then when you leave the room, you can turn it off on the room. That's the thought there. Oh, look at all my cord. Okay, that thing's pretty. That red looks really friggin' nice. There's your 15 amp fuse. And that, not the fuse, is what makes this a little bit different than other models. What makes this a little bit different is that the 6-port specifically is surge protected. That is a complaint I saw about the older, I don't know if it was original, it was a 2-port or a 4-port, but the older models, let's say. The original ones that were, I think they were like a 4-port, right? And this basically looks like this is a box that you would mount to the wall, and then this would be where the conduit comes in, right? And it very well might be. Or they did a like a I don't know if there's cast aluminum versions of that. All those look to be folded steel to me. So I don't know if they just did a what do you want to call it? Like like their own, like they took an existing one and then made it out of this milled aluminum. And I don't, let's check with Magnet if it's all aluminum or if this, I wouldn't be surprised if this top plate is stainless steel. That's aluminum. Which magnet do we got? Here. I got this yellow one. Yellow magnet. Nope. Nope, that is aluminum. Screws. Not as, actually as much. Oh, I'm gonna have to hit them up on that one. That one is a bit chewy. So, if you guys are running there, I'm not sending it back because of that. I would just like a replacement screw. That's just an Allen hex head. That one is like, somebody stripped it out as they were putting it together though. So this one, so they have white outlets and they have black outlets. Oh, so that's how they do it. Okay. See, protected, not grounded. So they're probably wiring them in series. Like it'd be this port, this port, this port. Because it looks like this port here is the one that is actually... So a lot of these seem to be, like this is a Leviton plug, okay? That's pretty common to see in, I mean, there's the UPC code right there. They didn't bother taking it off. So, like, you could go and get this plug probably. I shouldn't say probably, you can. I might not have seen this exact one before, right? So that's kind of like, realistically, if you wanted to go out of your way to build this, I could probably pull this apart and see the exact this that were used to make this, right? And I'm sure this cord is some sort of standardized, it wouldn't be lamp cord, because there's no reason you would need 14 gauge wire for a lamp cord. Oh, and yeah, here they show, oh yeah, don't trip on it, don't get it wet, don't pull it out by the plug, you know. And yes, part of the reason why, see, they show a straight cord. That's why I want right angle cord. It goes straight to the floor. Then I pick this up and move it around with my 10-foot cable that I want to say it was maybe like $4 a foot. That number might be wrong. I'd have to look it up. But this is the one that they're having made specifically for them. You can even see it's laser engraved. And from my understanding, it's, at least according to their email, it's actually just the boards in here that do the USB-C right there that are from China. So the TR is for tamper resistant. That's so your kids can't come along. And remember, we are unplugged, right? I don't even know if I have a flathead screwdriver. There you go. And they can't just stick things. And yes, it is looking like it's going in a little bit, but it is not. That's just the distance for that. So some of you may not like that because you're like, oh, it's hard to plug things in and not plug things. There in California, pretty sure that's actually required in many cases. There, I might be wrong. Yeah, we'll just have to plug it in and stuff. Infinite power! Ha 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 ha! Just want to show how. There you go. So if you're actually plugging something in, it's a non-issue, but it should prevent people from just jamming things in there. In here, let's try with that's too thick, I think. Yep. Balls. What I got that's thinner than that. Here, I got a Philippe. Is Philippe? No, it's too wide. Is your Philippe? I don't have a lot of flatheads. I don't have a reason to have a lot of flatheads. There's a really skinny Philippe. Yeah, I won't be able to emulate it. But effectively, when you push on both of them at the same time, they let you in. It was not that. Okay, there was more friction than plugging in a normal plug. Okay, but it was not that hard to plug it in. I was trying to grab. I don't have that many. Just like often, I keep stuff like this around with a USB-C cable from it, so I don't have to plug shit into the wall. So I was trying to find something I could plug in here that actually had some chunk to it. I really don't want to unwire that. That's my charger by the bed. Yeah, then I saw these Anker chargers that you should not buy. Do not buy these. I mean, like, granted, they were the only 100-watt USB PD chargers available when I bought this that weren't from a device OEM. But like all of Anker's have this issue where if you leave them plugged in and something doesn't use them, they like go to sleep, and the only way to reset them and wake them up is to unplug this ass end and plug it back in. That even happened to Ecos Fox. He has like a surge protector version, like this power strip surge protector version, you know, and there's no way to independently cycle the USB ports. And I told him that would fix it, and it did for him. But think about it, he has to trip everything that's plugged into that, and he had a PC plugged in, so he had to shut it all down. So to me, like I said, what this looks like is that these are all tamper resistant plugs. There you go. See, if you plug them in at the same time, no problem. So that's great. That should also help, like if you spilled on it, should prevent some of that from getting in there. I don't want to say that these are water resistant or anything like that. Like we have one in our garage. I've had to put in a new GFCI out there. That's ground fault interrupted plug. And because it's in the garage and we often, you might be cleaning cars or hosing something off, I was like, you know what, I'll get the weather resistant one. It says WR on it, I believe. Because it wasn't that much more. And it did have the tamper resistant on it, whereas the standard GFCI, because in Wisconsin, they don't require that here. You know, you can grab, I mean, you could probably just have wires sticking on the wall and let me code. I wouldn't be surprised. On some older ones, they used cork for this. Looks like they've since switched to rubber. A-okay, fine by me. This is a resettable fuse over here. Click it if you want to reset it. Yeah, I don't know. This thing just fucking looked awesome. The way that this is set up. It's got some weight to it also. Whereas a lot of power strips now, so you get the ISO bars that I often would use in the past. I have some APCs you'll see around here. That's what I bought before the ISO bars, and realistically, like as long as the surge protector doesn't get surged, it's good for longer than, like, I complain about monitors lasting 10 plus years. Well, surge protectors are going to last you like, like, not at this point. I'm like the old way of doing tamper resistance was like a sliding cover over this, right? Some of those covers are breaking off now. Oddly, my ISO bars have been hit by and survived more surges. Those are also rebuildable depending on where the surge hit. I don't know if you necessarily want to do that, but you can. The thing that we're actually running into now, durability after, I'd say, better part of 20 years, is on the isobar plugs, the outlet's cracking. So on the older versions of these, they had the old sort of oblong style circular outlets. I will admit it looked more iconic. But at least in the isobars, which also use those, they're basically using just like wall outlets that are screwed in from the top effectively. They might have to clip the tabs. Here they're literally using them. But those half circle ones, whatever material that was made of, like that plastic of that generation, after time the actual plastic would break, like and separate, so that the prongs inside wouldn't work anymore, right? So on a lot of mine, I just have those taped off, like because I can still use 7 or 6 of the 8. I just try to avoid using the ones that are cracked. I'm sure I could repair them. But and a lot of my surge protector use has lessened, and the reason why is, I believe, and I've said this before, you all should get UPS battery backups. Yes, if you have a computer that is, I would say $1,200 or more, which they all are at this point, because that means your setup is probably $1,500 or more, right? Buy a UPS. They're like 200. I think I've seen them as low as 180, 190 to some of them will hit 250. The one that I usually look at is like 220, 225, somewhere around there. So it's maybe a little bit more than 10% of your build, and maybe you don't get it right away. But especially if you have a $2,000 plus build, spending 10% of the cost of the system to protect it from surges, from what actually like makes desktop PCs freak out more than full-on blackouts, is grayouts and surges in general, but then also like the fluctuations where it's not delivering enough amperage. It'd be grayout, I guess, or like where voltage fluctuates. Desktop PCs hate that way more from my experience than full-on blackouts. There are also times when I don't even notice we lost power and I hear the UPS click on around here, which is awesome. That's why it's here. We've always been kind of funky, despite being at, I mean, at this point 15 years ago in a new build area. The power was always kind of funky. We always had these dips, these like where you see the lights dim and then come back up, like that sort of thing. So this is not that. Remember, this is not a UPS. This is a power strip. This is, okay, if you have a work desk that you have to plug a work laptop into, and you want some USB-C either to power the laptop, 65 watts may or may not be enough, but you can plug in the laptop, the dock, any of that sort of stuff. Have 2 USB-Cs to charge your phone and your tablet. It's just handy to have a place to plug shit in that's convenient, right? So like a maker space would be another great place to this. I have like a 2-port isobar right actually over here on one of my workbenches. That's where I could see this being really nice and useful. The cost, whew, by the way, why did I go with a 6-port when I was originally adding like a 2 or a 4-port? Well, hell, cost of these suckers is so freaking high that I'm like, fuck it. If I'm gonna spend some money, might as well spend some money. Also, some of the Lauren ones either didn't have the USB-C charging built in, and then my thought was, well, if I only get a 2-port and it doesn't have USB-C charging plugged in, or in it, then I'm going to use one of the 2 ports, if not 2 of the 2 ports, for a USB-C charger. I can't plug in like my work laptop. Well, that one's on its way out. There's a new one right there. Well, it's not even new. All I'm going to say is that somebody who deals with IT, I know it's your work stuff, right? Don't let your animal chew on it. Please. Like, the screen is not damaged. Props to ThinkPad here. It was disgusting when I got it too. Like, I had to wipe it down twice with Talbotol. No, I didn't use Talbotol on Oh, the hinge is stiff as frick. Granted, we most times use docks, so maybe that wasn't used all that much. Oh, this is another reason why I don't like this sort of aluminum. I don't know if this is anodized black or what it is. Like me with my like greasy, I have dry hands, but then at the same time when I sweat, they become very acidic greasy. I don't know what to tell you there, but yes, please do not let your animals chew on your laptop. Yeah, for those wondering, this is the only reason I got it. Our internal guy was actually not leaving for vacation, but he was taking time off too. And the reason why I got set up with that so quick is because it's just somebody's got fired. You know, maybe that's why. I'm not saying they got fired for having a disgusting, keeping their laptop disgusting, but and maybe I'm not always the best kept either. But certain things, notice one thing about a person, there might be something else going on there. So over here, I have a little Triplight 2-port. The desoldering pump, desoldering gun, gets plugged in there because it looks like it fell. And I use that actually as a power switch. So I go up here and I go kink on. Now you're like, well, isn't that the power switch? No, that's the go button for the pump. That they didn't make an on-off for the hot. So as soon as you plug this sucker in, it's hot. So I either recommend for stuff like that is you get yourself a little, surge protector like that guy, or get a really nice one like that, and then use that as your switch. Otherwise, they do make inline switches, which I got when I got my extension cords, because whenever you're not using a tool, like if you're using an orbital sander, you turn it, well, if you can't turn it off, which this is why we have the inline power switches, right? You unplug it. Okay? Safety. Okay? So that's why if you have an inline switch that's right at where you plug, you don't put it on the wall side, you put it on the end where you plug in your device, and then you can just ka-chunk, flip it off, and then it's not going everywhere as you're maintaining it, either blowing it with air, changing the standing pad. Maybe you have to go inside and eat lunch and a kid comes along. He can't use it without, knowing that you have to flip that switch. Or like, I don't know, spinny blades, bad, just don't let them have power when you don't want them to have power. Safety, right? So something like this, you could use the same way because there's this nice big toggle. So maybe you take this guy, you put it up like that, right? You go plug this in down on the floor, and that's your on, that's your off. You could also use this sort of thing as, like, say if you didn't have those lights wired up to an outlet with a switch in, and you had your whole setup, right? You could use this sort of switch to turn everything on. And this just looks nicer. If you're going for, I picked it up fairly easy, but it's got some heft to it. If you're going for like a certain aesthetic, or some people want to like personalize their maker spaces, this is available in like a gazillion colors. Not cheap, like I said. So I based on pricing, I want to say, unless you have a reason for getting a 2-port or a 4-port, like you will only need that many, and or the area that you are putting this sort of thing in is one where you can't fit the 6-port, right? I would get the 6-port personally. Now here, actually, like right where we're standing would be a great spot for this sort of thing on the floor, right? Plug it into the wall. My wall plugs are under that desk, and that one you get into. There's one like almost behind the bed over there. And you can actually bring it, and I can actually plug stuff in up here if I go and plug it that far away. And that is part of the reason why I got the 10-foot for stuff like that, where if we go and grab this right now, I would just like to illustrate, having bubble wrap stuck to me, that I could have it in the middle of this and actually run it. Now, right now, it's up on top of the desk, right? But you see the slack, we could run it down the side of this, plugged it into the wall, and the only thing running across here is that, and then we could plug in. You've seen it before where we've had to plug in multiple different devices. We could just have this sitting up over here, plugging stuff in. Right, now could you do that with this APC power strip? Yes. However, that has no weight. Well, minus the, and look, it's got RJ11 jacks and coax. I never personally surge protect. I shouldn't say never. I think way the fuck back when I got my first one of those strips, like probably bordering on over 20 years ago. Like, you know, back when we didn't have, we had Wi-Fi routers, but like back before you had technically you might have had a separate router back then because people might not have had Wi-Fi. But yeah, let's just say back in that era, it wasn't uncommon to have all your shit right in one place. Like you'd have a family PC, or you'd have your office, and that's where the PC that gets the internet is. I was actually having to explain that to somebody the other day. I'm like, yeah, back when I PC'd, if a PC had internet, it was usually one PC. The other PCs didn't, and you would go in the PC that had the internet, which was the better one, and you would download the stuff, right? You put on a flash drive, well, much later flash drive. Probably a floppy disk, maybe burn a CD depending on the size, right? And then you would put it in another PC. You know, like I had, trying to think if the Pentium 3s, they might have had 100 megabit, I don't know. But we had a couple Pentium 3s after I upgraded the school district. I had some 1 gigahertz Pentium 3s, those things were hopping. I think we had them 512 megs of RAM, which was significantly upgraded over what they originally had. And we did some LAN stuff with them. I believe I might have even had to put in, Paisley's already pawing at it. Yeah, what's that new thing there, Pazer? Huh? What is that? Yeah? So I can see now with their design why, because there were people that were complaining, oh, kitten, you want up, come here. Yeah. You were going to jump up, but they hit the camera. Yeah. You want me to be done. So maybe we'll go and plug this in and then we can be done. So if you, like, some people were like complaining about the 2-port, like, oh, it's spending all this money. It only has the it doesn't have surge protection. It only has the fuse, and that's not really surge protection. Yada yada yada. Right? Just had this guy. And if I recall, that guy would be on this side because it would only be a 2 guy. But I can see now, well, looking at this, why the 2 only doesn't have surge protection. Because this is your surge protector right here, right there. See, not guarded, protected. Pazer, take your claws out of my brand new toy, please. And this thing is completely unneeded, which is why I'm calling it a toy. Does it look pretty as fuck? Do I have multiple people that are into engineering and design? Some of which that have loft apartments that are like, oh god, that thing looks amazing, I want one, and then they see the price and they nearly have a fucking stroke. Yes, have a number of those friends. I will say the pricing, now that you can get surge protected, much better. And also, no matter what wattage type C right now, they haven't updated their website. There's like a disclaimer when you first go to it. Is no matter what USB A or C or whatever orientation that you select, or what that is currently on the site listed, at least as time of ordering this, a couple months ago, you get dual USB-C because their new PCB for this that is in there, and you know, there you go, class 2.0 60 watt max smart chip. You know, power to the people, GAN 65 watt PD, GAN 65 watt PD. That they've replaced all of theirs on every model with the dual 65-watt GAN PD. So if you choose one that has like a USB A and a USB C and it's only 15 watts or something, you will be getting that one. But yes, the reason why, if you only have a 2-port, it can't do, because you only get that, right? That's why I can't do surge protection, because you don't have this guy. Now with a 4-port, they should be able to do surge protection for you, because they can put this guy in, they can put that guy in, ta-da! And like with that too, you should still be able to do the fuse and the big old switch, because they put one of them on that end, and it is recessed. So as long as they kept the switch, you know, because I showed you one point here where I actually put it this way. So if this had to get moved, but it's recessed, right? So if that was down here, it could still be sitting like that, as long as the switch is on this end. You're like, why would you want it this way? Like I showed you over on the bench how mine is over there. So you can plug stuff in. I would, if you're going to do that, it does have these stoppers that act like rubber feet. I might put on some proper, or more proper feet, kind of like they have on the bottom here. That way it's not sliding around. You know. But yeah, I've been looking at these for literal years. Like I said, have sent them over to some of my design and engineer friends and stuff like that, and it was kind of on one of those lists where it was like someday. Well, apparently one night a couple months ago, I said fuck it, and that day was that night, I guess. And I popping it out of there, I am really happy with that red. I say I'm not normally a red guy. I have quite a few red things, as it turns out. Though nothing close to yellow or orange. I do kind of wish I could have. Like I said, the yellow ones were not available anymore. It was on an older design. Let's see here. I ordered this August 29th. And we are October 19th. Then I got an email shortly actually after talking to them. Tariff customs delay on September 26th. So about a month in, they kind of notified everybody that those were stuck. If you guys are wondering, where's your new review of the new Vaxi mouse? Yeah, that too. Apparently UPS just has their shipment. Yep. They haven't got it back yet. So they're actually reshipping mine direct from headquarters for my Vaxi MP01S Ergo, I think it is. But yeah, and my guess is because that was already in transit and tariffs didn't happen until it landed, or something like that. For them. But yeah, and that's a thing with UPS at the moment. They'll just like have tariffed things, and if you don't pay or do something, they will literally just dispose of them. And apparently they have Vaxi has not been able to get their stuff, so it does not surprise me that Conway Electric was having issues getting the PCBs that run their dual GAN charger here, or PCB that runs their dual GAN charger. Does not surprise me in the least. Let's take a quick peek at their website. ConwayGoods.com. There you go. Bada boom, bada bang. There you go. Impossibly good. Free dual 65 watt. This will pop up the first time you go to their website. And you're like, oh, didn't you buy from it? Yeah, on my laptop. Like I said, was doing it at night. Yeah, as I'm falling asleep, you know. So everybody gets that. Basically, if you got USB ports, like down over here, if I zoom into 2x there, 5x, you'll see it's like a USB and a USB-A, USB smart chip, right? USB-A, USB-C. That would come dual USB-C. That's one we are looking at, right? Yep, that's the new Exto Surge 900. That is the exact one that I picked up. So something different that I did notice, I don't know if you picked up in the images. See, that's how I'm going to use it right there. You can kind of pull it in the middle of the room, and you could easily plug stuff in on that table or however you want to do it. And that's one of the bright color. There is an orange. They don't make the orange in, and I didn't want this orange because I didn't want the white cable. White cable bad. Yes, my cable has some white. It's black and white. But this is the orange I wanted. They, however, do not make that one in the big one. I'm afraid that's the one I ended up getting. You can kind of see all these. Some of these, which you might have seen on this page, actually have cork here instead of the rubber. I don't know what changed or why that went away. Yeah, and you can customize it. See, they have 6 foot and 12 foot. When you place the order, I was like, hey, I would like, they actually say like, oh, you could have a right angle plug. We'll click on that Exto Surge here. It might be like when you actually go to buy it, and not oh, this might be one of the websites that doesn't work properly in Firefox. It could just be the cookies. We'll disable the cookies and refresh. Nope, it's not just cookies that are blocked. Let's try. I've had anti-tracker from Bitdefender fuck with shit lately too. Yeah, no, okay, we'll try pause protection. That's why I press pause. Yep, see, still nothing. Let's try ad blocker off. Still nothing. See, it just doesn't load properly. Now I do have fingerprinting off. And there are base features now that are just turned on in Firefox that like at work I have them all turned off because it breaks a bunch of internal websites. At home I'm not willing to do that. For stuff like this I just go and use Chrome or Edge. It's just sad that that's the case. But you know, here, this is from 159. These guys are from 199, right? This is a 4-port. Do they still even? Yeah, these haven't been updated to the new designs yet, because they have the older no USB-C, just 4 ports. So if you wanted something more classic, those look to be right around $100. Exto 4. I think they still have some Exto 2s, which are literally just the ports themselves. Be aware, these do not have surge protection. They just have that 15 amp fuse. So that's where people were like complaining to some extent. They do have, like I said, their newer stuff where you start getting into USB-C ports. It does not have, like, if you are really going for the look, these newer updated ones with the full-on tamper-resistant, surge-protected ports and everything like that, they definitely don't have the same vibe as wherever I was clicking around that. Here we go to like an Exto 4, you know, where you have the older sort of circular style. You know, that's got vibes, you know. See? So I don't know what my watch is going crazy about. Somebody's hit me up on some sort of social media. I am on all of them, at the Prophecyst as always. Like I said, I did pay a little bit more for this guy because I customized it a little bit. I had to do that after. You can just put notes in, and then they'll do it for you. See, here's the 6 ports down here. You got that I wouldn't see. I'd trip on that. Pink, kind of fine. Not my vibe though. That one was the closest. and like I said, I think that red pops as soon as I saw it. Like, look at that. That is a red. That's a good red right there. Hopefully it comes through on the camera properly. But yeah, it's gonna go behind my thing. I will have one of these populated with my 140 watt Chargique. Now Charge. You can see the orange guys over there. Pew! Right over there. Lenovo's weird. I was using it with this, which on the 140 watt output. Actually, maybe something else was plugged in. I'll have to double check that. But we'll have to test this again. But I'm pretty sure I tested. And even though you have the 140 watt output, since it's not a Lenovo charger, it caps itself at 100 watts. I'll need to retest that because I just remembered I do temporarily have the MagSafe Gen 2 puck plugged in over there. And just having one more USB-C would knock that from the 140 watt to 100 watt output and whatever that MagSafe Gen 2 is. It's not MagSafe 2. Or Revision 2. I forget exactly. It's basically like 25 watts instead of 50 watts. You got the braided 6-foot cable on it instead of the 3-foot. Google made that mistake too with their magnetic charger. It's only got the 3-foot cable in. In order for a 3-foot cable to work for me, this desk is 2.5 feet front to back. The charger that the USB-C MagSafe plugs in would have to be on top of the desk, right? That's another nice thing about these, right? Is I wouldn't mind putting something like that on top of the desk where it's visible. And it's like more of a reasonable size and it's a bit hefty to stay there. Those are not that heavy, those APC ones. And they're big because they always have a bajillion ports on them. Like I think that's like an 11 port or something. And there's like a thinner, skinnier one that is technically less, but that's just because it's like 1/2 of it. But they're very lightweight, and if you put them on your desk, it like takes up as much room as a speaker, if not more. Whereas this, if you didn't have your laptop right under the middle of your monitor like I do, you might even be able to put it like right under your monitor stand and plug stuff in, or it depends on how much you want, how quickly you need to access to be able to plugging and unplugging USB-Cs, power, etc. You know what I mean? Some people might even have a little area off to the left or right side. That's what my mom does. To plug everything in on top of their desk. That's where I think something like this would exceed substantially. So, yeah. Really like this. My little customizations are just upgraded from the 6-foot cord, which is their standard, to the 10-foot. And then I also, no charge to go to the right angle. You just got to tell them, and they'll swap it out to a right angle plug. Try to get a custom color, and they're like, yes, we'll gladly do it. Can you buy 150 units? And I'm like, oh, I am good with red. I did not know that. Thank you for humoring me. But yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think. As always, I'm at The Prophecyst on all your social medias. Discord link down below. And it's Conway. Oh, what do I have over here? Random zits, lovely. It's conwaygoods.com. That's why I had some trouble finding them. It's not. Ooh, I touched my monitor. I was looking through the camera and not at the real world. And cameras don't have 2 lenses; they have 1, so you don't have distance. Yeah, it's conwaygoods.com if you want to check out their stuff. Remember, probably don't use Firefox because like all the customization and the costy things don't. Okay, for this one they do, but for their website's kind of borky. I'm gonna admit this outright. Yeah, see, like we're on. Okay, let's try to buy this guy then. Never mind. It seems to be working fine now. Yeah, it says dual USB-C. Exto Surge 720 AC, so 215 If you go to the dual, whatever it is, 240. Is that what I bought? Yes. Yes, it is. So, definitely check out that initial intro when you go to the webpage where it says it's going to upgrade certain models for you. I think this one says... Here. Smart chip is a 2.4 amp USB-C. Yeah, you definitely got more than what they previously stated. But, yeah, here it was dual USB-C 36 watt previously on the upgraded one. Well, they took that all the way up to 65 for you, but that is not a cheap surge protector power strip extension cord. I tell you what. Now, they do have, you can repair it. It's made in the U.S. I like their brand. I like their product. I always thought it was cool. And why would you buy something like this? Because it's cool. That's why. A lot of power strips now might come with USB-C in them. Normally, my answer to you guys would have been get yourself just a quality isobar power surge protector, and then just plug in your USB-C adapters into it. Now things have gotten pretty friggin' standardized though. Like even 100 watts is pretty standard. It's once you go above the 100 watts that, yeah. But dual 65s here, that's actually useful. Back when they used to give you 15 watts though, that to me, okay, it would do wireless charging for the Pixel, not even full wired charging. Because even back on like my Pixel 3, that was 18 watts. I think Pixel 2 started that. 9-volt 2 amp, by the way. Yeah, so before, like, all that, I would have said useless, garbage, get rid of it. But in this case, my mom, I think her work laptop only needs a 65 watt cord. So theoretically, you pick up that guy, and you eliminate needing a charger on your desk for a laptop, right? And you still have a port free, something like that, So, and it just has some cool vibes. It's got this vintage, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna have this out. Out by my couch, and that's where you might want it to look nicer. Here, I'll bring it with, and we'll take a. You guys took a tumble, dang. Glad it was on carpet. So, I sit here. Yes, see, big TV, couch. Yes, that is where I sit. So, that right now is where the charger is, and that might be why the laptop only charged at 100 watts, because I'm noticing now that I have the MagSafe puck plugged into it as well. And yes, I do like using the MagSafe puck if I know I don't need to juice my phone like I did before this video to hit these longer things. Much more convenient to throw it in my little cup holder there and just slap that on the back. Otherwise, you'd have like, maybe I can get a flexible end for the USB-C, but it like wants to cant at 180 degrees. And often I don't need the, it's often topping up after I've already, shot a video for you all, or after a long day, or maybe I even forgot to charge for a day. I'm just sitting down. It's just to get me till I can go to sleep, and then I charge it next to the bed. But if I don't keep it above 20%, things like sync and backup programs don't go through. Depending on what I'm doing, I need those too. But yeah, so that's where I can put it, is right there. Probably more on the carpet. New subwoofers right over there for those that didn't see. Sounds beautiful, loving it. Yes, cat food, cat water. Granted, they go this way towards the couch, so subwoofer shouldn't be in harm's way. I am looking for a bigger table because basically it straddles the subwoofer. I just needed to fill that space there. We know how big that space is because this couch is where it will be. So I have to find a new table there. But this guy's probably gonna go right there, or maybe on the concrete, but probably right there. And it's got some heft, so it'll stay there. I've also had stuff routed this way, or sometimes I'll have it. I'll go at like, see, look, I got my charger for my Surface under there. You know, something like this under there would be nice. Then you can plug your stuff in and like run it up to your little table. I need to get that out of here. That's a pile of work right there. And there's Paisley Marie's little tower with her little blankie. That's what she wants to do. And me sitting here watching anime, and the Gertrude will sit there. And then King will stand. See, I left a spot open. If you look right between, I had to open up a spot for him right there. So he can sit right in the middle of the TV and just stare at it. Yeah. Yeah, this thing's going to be a nice improvement. And haven't fully decided. Where is the USB-C charger? Oh, here it is. So this is the actual USB-C for the MagSafe Gen 2. It's a 30 watt, 25 watt, 30 watt. The old one was a 20. You know, so I could have my, this guy in here, the 100 watt other charger in there, and still have ports open, and still have the 65 watt USB-Cs open if I need to plug anything in. And like I said, for most people, most of you out there, a lot of your electronics, 65 watts is going to be enough. And I've actually proven now with this MagSafe. The Gen 1 was particular because it needed, I don't think it necessarily needed the 20 watt charger. It just needed enough wattage. Whereas most other chargers at the time that were USB-C for Apple were like 15 only, right? Whereas the new phone with the MagSafe was 20. I don't know if it pulled 20 necessarily. I might be getting some of that wrong, but that's why that one over there is straight into the older charger behind Paisley's mirror right there. Often with Apple, if you're going that route, it's just best to stick to their stuff. They do have variable design chargers. They have very good, like back when they came out with their Lightning 3.5 millimeter adapter, brilliantly designed. Changes stuff overnight, like other people jumped off that to make, much better adapters, etc. That's actually the adapter I would use if it was fully compatible with Android. But if I recall, like the volume on it is super low or something. If you watch my I'm still trying to find the best headset adapter with the best mic input. And you're like, well, wouldn't you want the best headphone output? As long as it does CD quality, we're good enough. The problem is a lot of the ones that have better headphone output, like the Razer one, that compared to the Google has a trash mic in. So it's always balances and changes. And with my current job, I need to have a quality mic in. And if I'm grabbing a wired headset, I need that shit to sound good and work. So, I think this is not that the little orange guy looked bad or something, and I actually got like a braided extension that went there that was a little bit better than a squiggly thing, or you keep it under there. Or say you have, like, this is my coffee table. Once I get all this cleaned up, you might have it, keep it under the coffee table so you can plug stuff on top of the coffee table. Maybe the coffee table's over here so that people can plug their stuff in, like their laptop and all their stuff like that. Just giving you all ideas. Now it's time to sit with the kitten. And there's the boy. Hey, dude, what's up?